exercise, we want to write a recursive method called dedup. So be public. We don't know what it's returning yet, so let's just call it dedup. And we're going to return a string obtained by replacing every sequence of repeated adjacent letters with just a single letter. So we know that we are going to be returning a string. And it looks like from the rest of the problem, we are going to be taking a string as input. So that's what it's going to look like. And we want to take something that looks like this and turn it into something that looks like this, basically removing any repeating values. So let's start with the smallest case. Let's say we have just one thing inside of here, and that is in fact going to be our base case. So for our base case, we're going to say if our str.length, because every single time that we're going to do this, we're going to be removing characters or returning those removed characters. That'll make sense in a second. So if our str.length is less than, remember, if we only have one character here, we're going to be fine. So if it is less than 2, we're going to want to just return whatever is left inside of here. Now, let's deal with the rest of this. So otherwise, we'll fall into an else if statement. And we can check if our two characters are equal to each other. If they're equal, what we're going to want to do is not add this to our return and then go to the next two characters. So we'll say else if our str dot, we'll check the char at, and we'll say our index 0. And if it's equal to the str dot char at our index 1, we are just going to want to return. Remember, this is a recursive method, so we'll use our dedup, but we're going to pass in a substring, so str.substring, and inside of our substring, we are going to want to start this at index 1, not 0, because if it's index 0 equal to 1, we want to take away our index 1. Otherwise, and we'll make this an else if as well, just because I like to really classify what I'm coding. So else if they do not equal each other, that means we want to return, and we're going to, again, still do this recursively, right? Because we haven't hit the end yet, but we want to store our current character and move on to the next one. So we want to restore str.char at our current index 0, and then we're going to append to this the dedup with our str.substring, where we pass in 1, so we can move to the next character and examine it. And that should be it. Now, Java needs a kind of default statement. If we run this right now, it's not going to pass right here. And that's not just because this is a method, so it needs parentheses. So remember that. We're missing a return statement. And that's because this else if really needs to be an else statement. But what we can do is put this down here, and I will comment what we're actually doing right here, just so we know. But it does need a kind of default else statement that it can always hit. And that's going to pass 1 out of 1 test. And that's how we would do this exercise 12.14 dedup.